Welcome to the Nonprofit Advisor Academy. My name is Mark Del Gershio, and I'm excited you're here. I want to congratulate you on taking this important step and for joining our nonprofit community. We are about to embark on a fantastic journey together to get your nonprofit approved for tax-exempt status. But that's really only one goal of this program. By the time you've completed these modules, you will have everything you need to start, grow, and sustain your nonprofit. This module is broken down into 3 lessons. First, you will learn how to craft your organization's mission statement. In the second lesson, you will discover the steps to creating a powerful vision for your organization. In the third lesson, you will learn how to establish your nonprofit's values. And if you've never done a values exercise, you will find this to be life-changing. Now, you might be thinking, what does all this have to do with getting tax-exempt status? Well, as we move through the process, you will see how these elements, mission, vision, and values, are the core and foundation of your organization. So sit back, relax, and take plenty of notes. What is a mission statement? Well, think of your mission statement as the GPS of your organization. What does GPS do? Well, GPS is there to help you navigate, stay on course, and reach your destination. It tells you where you are at and where you are going. Now let's look at why your mission statement is so important to the success of your organization. Your mission statement shares with the world what you do. It should inspire others to join your movement, to volunteer, donate, or participate. It describes to the IRS the focus of your organization. And this is very important as we prepare our documents and make that application to the IRS. Your mission statement keeps your team members, and perhaps even you as the founder, on track. And a really great mission statement communicates a need or a problem and a solution or a result. I mentioned the importance of the mission statement and the application to the IRS. A well-crafted mission statement will help get your organization approved faster. We've worked with hundreds of nonprofits, and what we have found is that the clearer and more concise the mission statement, the fewer questions we receive back from the IRS. And this is very important. You don't want your application to suffer any delays or for you to get bogged down with dozens of questions from the IRS. And that's why you're here in the Academy, right? So before we begin, let's talk a little bit about the IRS application process. Perhaps you're familiar with the process or you've done some research. The important point is this: what you don't know can hold you back. And since getting tax exemption is a process, we want to make sure that we're going to cover the items that are most important first and build that strong foundation for your organization. I like to use the analogy of an iceberg. Most people are familiar with the fact that only 30% of an iceberg is visible from above the water. It's the part you don't see that can give you trouble. Remember the Titanic? My goal is to eliminate what you don't see in this process and save you time and eliminate the speed bumps that can slow your application. All right, so let's jump in and get started. Let's look at a few of the common mistakes that people make when crafting a mission statement. And these two are either saying too little or saying too much. I've looked at hundreds of mission statements, and I can tell you that this happens all the time. The tendency is to either be too general or too specific and provide way more detail than is necessary. So let's look at some examples, see what I'm talking about. Now, here's a mission statement that not only says too little, but it's also too broad. Our mission is to help the homeless by providing shelter and compassion. Okay, that's good, but it really doesn't tell me anything. Helping the homeless is not descriptive. And this example may seem a little silly, but we see mission statements like this all the time. They tend to describe global issues, big issues like saving the rainforest or saving whales without ever telling the reader how they plan on doing that. Okay, let's look at another. In this example, the organization tells us way too much. And again, this is a common problem. We organize ourselves to establish and provide community resources, services, and initiatives in support of people with mental, physical, or sensory impairment, their families, and those who provide support so that they may exercise responsibility in their, and it goes on and on. Your mission statement should only be 1 or 2 sentences, not paragraphs. And you're going to have plenty of time and opportunity to describe your programs and your vision later. But the mission statement should only accurately communicate the essence of your organization. Let's look at another common mistake. Some organizations talk too much about themselves. Our mission is to become the leading source and #1 provider. But look, remember, it's not about you. It's about them, the people or agendas that you're trying to help. So avoid making statements about you. Now that you know what to avoid, let's break down how to create a powerful mission statement step by step. The first thing we need to do is define your organization's purpose and programs. And you have to be really clear about your purpose and programs before you start writing your mission statement. So, the purpose of your organization is its reason for being. It is the why your organization exists. Now, there's something I know about you. If you're in this program, you have a very strong why. And that why is the purpose. Again, it's the organization's reason for being. Programs describe the specific and detailed action that your organization does or takes. For example, a homeless shelter's purpose might be to alleviate the pain and suffering of people living on the streets. So the programs could be Meals on Wheels or a winter coat drive where coats are collected and distributed to people in need. Programs are the activities your organization does to further your charitable purpose. Now let's look at mission statement. The mission statement communicates the essence of what you and your organization are all about. And all in one sentence if you can. That's pretty simple, right? Before we begin to write our mission statement, let's make sure that we have some of the fundamentals in place. Let's take a few minutes to write your organization's purpose and a sentence or two about your programs. And if you already have your purpose and programs, this is a good time to review the work you've done. And you can download the forms that we're going to show you in the members area. So start here and write your organization's purpose. Don't try to construct a mission statement. Just write from your heart your organization's reason for being, the why your nonprofit exists. And don't worry about how you're going to do things, just focus on the why. And by the way, these types of exercises are great opportunities to get input from your team or your board members. And if you don't have your board members yet, don't worry. We're going to cover that in Module 2. Okay, now next I want you to write down your organization's 3 most important programs. And notice I said most important. These are the programs that you are starting with. When it is time to complete the IRS application, you will be asked to describe your organization's programs in detail. And one of the common mistakes that new organizations make is they try and list like a dozen different programs. Have you ever heard the phrase bitten off more than you can chew? For this lesson, and more importantly for the IRS application, I want you to identify the 3 most important programs that your organization is going to start with. And by the way, it's perfectly fine if you have less than 3. We've helped organizations that might only have 1 specific program, like an annual concert to help veterans. And it's okay to have 1 or 2 programs. What I strongly suggest you don't do is have more than 3. Now, for crafting the mission statement, you only need to have a general idea of your programs. You don't need to get into too much detail right here. When we get into the application, you're going to drill down some more and actually explain your programs in detail. And we have a special live training in the Academy to teach you how to construct your programs and write the things that are called narratives. So for this lesson, what I want you to do is stop this video and write your organization's purpose and a quick summary of 3 most important programs. And once you've done that, you can resume the lesson. We'll see you back here in a bit. Welcome back. Did you write your purpose and programs? Well, I'm sure you did. Hey, let's take a minute and talk about the Academy. My goal is for you to obtain your tax exemption and have a successful and flourishing nonprofit. And over the years, I found that people learn best by following along with examples and then completing the task at hand. For our time together, we're going to be using a fictional organization, We Lead Inc., to walk you through everything I'm teaching you step by step. By looking over my shoulder, I believe you will better understand and be able to complete your own paperwork. In other words, we're not just going to give you some theory. I'm going to show you how it works and the practical application of each lesson or topic. So We Lead Inc. is an inner city youth organization. And since I just made you do this exercise, let's look at the purpose of We Lead Inc. So the purpose of We Lead Inc. is to break the cycle of crime and poverty in America's cities. Now, one thing I want you to notice, the purpose is not the mission statement. Now let's look at We Lead Inc.'s 3 most important programs. Number 1, mentoring for at-risk youth. Number 2, community leadership workshops. And number 3, a concert to raise money. Take note, the programs are not the mission statement either. Often we'll see mission statements and they're really written as a whole list of programs. And it'll just say like, here's all the things we're going to do. A specific program might be part of the mission statement, but you want to avoid just simply listing a whole bunch of activities. Now let's take a look at the first try at We Lead Inc.'s mission statement. The mission of We Lead Inc. is to help inner city children and break the cycle of crime and poverty in America. Now I'm going to ask you, is that a good mission statement? Well, I think we can do much better. But to do better, we have to dig deeper. So let's look at this mission statement and break it down some more. Notice I highlighted break the cycle of crime and poverty. Now I ask you, is that really the mission? We saw those words in the purpose, but is it the mission? Think about this for a minute. Is We Lead Inc. a crime-fighting organization? Does We Lead Inc. provide direct assistance to eliminate poverty? The answer to both those questions is no. What about these words? Help inner city children. Can we be more specific? What does help actually mean in the context of this organization? Does We Lead Inc. work with children, or can we drill down further? Okay, before we go any further, I want to acknowledge something. I want your organization to have a powerful and effective mission statement. Most people would have stopped at this first attempt. Okay, so you're probably thinking, how do I write a powerful mission statement? And to answer that question, I think it's time we bring in our 3 superheroes: focus, audience, and connection. Let's look at these a little bit more closely. Focus is the what your organization does. So you ask yourself, what does your organization really do? Audience is the who do you serve or who are you speaking to? And connection is the how your organization delivers the message, service, help, or assistance. Let's look at We Lead Inc. and the focus. We Lead Inc.'s focus is mentoring at-risk youth. Now, where did we get that? Where did we get that focus from? Well, if we go back and look at the programs of We Lead Inc., we see mentoring at-risk youth, community leadership workshops, and a concert to raise money. Looking in the programs for one of those key words or phrases that we can incorporate that really talks to what the organization does. Now let's look at audience. In this case, it's the people the organization helps. So we work with young men between the ages of 12 and 17. Maybe they've recently been in trouble with law enforcement or dropped out of school, and they don't have a positive male role model in their life. Now we've drilled down deeper to describe We Lead Inc.'s target audience, who we're trying to help. Now let's look at connection. Under connection, I've detailed some ways that it's done. Now, if you've broken down your programs with this much detail, this step will be easy, and if not, you're going to have the opportunity to do this in a few minutes. So here's the connection, the how it's done. Recruiting male role models from police, fire departments, teachers, business, and ministry leaders. pairing at-risk young men with male role models from the community, providing a safe and supportive environment for youth and mentors, with the goal of developing these young men into leaders and responsible adults. Now, can you see the detail here? At this point in the process, you would have your organization's focus, what you do, the audience, who you serve, and the connection, how you do it. So now it's time to tie these things together using some action words. Some of the words like educate, create, promote, advocate, facilitate, organize, connect, support, assist, and empower. Let's take a few minutes and talk about the mission statement formula. Focus, again, what your organization does. The audience, who do you serve? And then that connection, how do you do it? And that equals a powerful mission statement. And you're going to put those components together. They may not be exactly in that order, as we're going to see in a few minutes from some of the examples. But that's the essence of it. What does your organization do? Who do you serve? And how do you do it? And that will equal a very powerful mission statement. Now let's look at some examples. The Humane Society. To create a humane and sustainable world for all animals, including people, through education, advocacy, and the promotion of respect and compassion. When we look at this mission statement, we see the focus to create a humane and sustainable world for all animals, including people. Who's the audience? Well, who they're helping, Humane Society, is animals. Who they're speaking to, of course, are people. And how do they do that? What's the connection? Well, it's through education, advocacy, and the promotion of respect and compassion. Now let's look at the nonprofit lender Kiva. To connect people through lending for the sake of alleviating poverty. And I found this one to be really interesting. What's the focus? What does Kiva actually do? Well, if you know about Kiva, you know their focus is lending. They connect people with microloans to start businesses. So the focus of Kiva is lending. The audience is people. And how do they do that? Well, they connect people with lenders. Now notice alleviating poverty. What would that be? Well, that is their purpose. That's their why. So isn't that interesting? They have purpose, focus, audience, and connection all in there, and all in 11 words. I think that is so cool. Okay, let's look at We Lead Inc. Our first attempt at the mission statement for We Lead Inc. was the mission of We Lead Inc. is to help inner city children and break the cycle of crime and poverty in America. And this format and the way you see this mission statement would be very common. This is where most people get to when crafting it, and they would stop there. Let's look at the refined version, which is We Lead Inc. connects at-risk young men and community role models to mentor and inspire future leaders and nurture responsible adults. Now, I believe that's really the bullseye of what We Lead Inc. is all about. That's the essence of the organization. So develop your mission statement. I want you to take a few minutes and write down the focus of your organization. What is your organization about? The audience, who do you serve or who are you speaking to? And then that connection, how do you do it? And you can look back on your purpose and on your programs. Now remember, the purpose is the why, the focus is the what, and that's kind of the distinction there. So go ahead and take a few minutes and do that, and when you've done that, we'll be ready to get started and complete this lesson. Welcome back. So to summarize, a well-written mission statement will clarify and focus your organization, attract, motivate, and inspire others, and it will communicate what you do and ideally the results that you achieve. How are you going to do that? Well, start with your purpose. Make sure you're crystal clear about the purpose of your organization, the why. Review your organization's programs, and this is a good time if you have more than 3 to narrow those down to the 3 most important ones. Determine that focus. What is your organization about? Address the audience. Who are you speaking to or who are you trying to serve? And then make that connection. Okay, what I want you to do is write your mission statement. And you get to send it to us, and we will review it for you, and we'll make some suggestions perhaps to make it even stronger and more powerful. But your mission statement is a critical piece, and it will be communicated throughout this entire IRS application process and beyond to talk about who your organization is to everyone in that outside world. So I want to thank you for joining us today in this first lesson. We have a ritual here. It's called Celebrate the Win. So anytime we complete a milestone, we just want to give ourselves a round of applause and a pat on the back and say, good job, we did it. We're ready to move forward to the next lesson. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.